This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage week number 8 in the National Football League. Cincinnati Bengals at home taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Bengals coming off of a bye week and looking to get back into the division in the AFC North. This division, I've already told you numerous times that I believe the AFC North belongs to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we've seen stranger things happen. The AFC conference itself is wide open in terms of playoff spots. There's 6 total, and I only think about 3 or 4 maybe spoken for right now. So if you're Cincinnati, you got a golden opportunity. You've got a pretty soft schedule, playing teams like Indianapolis and the Browns again, at home, Baltimore again. The next time you see them, you should be able to take them in Baltimore. You've got opportunities. And so you don't want to dismiss this Bengals team as a team that has a chance to sneak in the back door as a wild card team. That being said, they're not going to win the AFC North division. But if you have any aspirations of making it to the postseason, you got to win this game at home versus the Indianapolis Colts. There's just no two ways about it. You want to have a shot at having a season, you have to beat the Colts at home. And they came dangerously close to losing this game at home to the Indianapolis Colts. And I'll take it a step further and I'll say this. Had they been playing any other team in that AFC South division, meaning Jacksonville, Houston, Tennessee, they lose this game. You can't make the type of mistakes Cincinnati made in this game and expect to win against quality opponents. Luckily enough for them, the team they were playing wasn't a quality opponent. It was the Indianapolis Colts. And so they were able to get away with a 24-23 win. And they needed a big defensive play by Carlos Dunlap to help them get this victory. They needed the defense to come on late to preserve the victory. They needed all of those things to happen for them because of the mistakes they made early in this game that allowed Indy to take an early lead, to allow Indy to hang around. They lose to any other team in that division if they play this way. And so they got away with one in this football game, but nonetheless, a win's a win's a win. You'll take it any way you can get it. And the Cincinnati Bengals get the win 24-23. And we'll talk about how they were able to get the win, what I saw in this game, and some takeaways here in a second. And we'll talk about the Colts and their continued lack of success, how they weren't able to get it done, some bright spots in the loss, and then we'll move on. But before we do that, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game. We want you to help us do that by simply hitting the subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. I've got a number of social media platforms that will help you stay in tune and abreast of what's going on here on this channel. When I go live, you'll know. If you follow me on the follow social media platforms, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's YouTube. Turn on those notifications. You will know what's going on with this channel. The minute I go live, you will be notified and you can join me on these live streams. And also, if you want to try to donate to this channel, those are the ways to do so. Those links that you see before you, Patreon, PayPal, they're also in the description down below, along with all those links to the other social media platforms that I just mentioned: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. All of those things can be found down below in the description of this and all videos that I do here on the Louie T Network. That being said, let's jump into this breakdown and talk about Cincinnati, because they were the ones that got it done 24-23 to go to 3-4 on the season. And so we'll talk about them first in this game. I didn't think it was a great offensive performance. We'll start with the offense. I thought they struggled offensively throughout the game. There was no rhythm nor flow, no continuity. the run game was lacking, and I thought that's what really held them back in this game. It put them in a lot of long distance situations, a lot of third and longs where you're asking Andy Dalton to bail you out, and the Colts knew you had to throw it, and they were pinning their ears back. And I thought the Colts did a magnificent job of just pinning their ears back and blitzing in this game. They blitzed the draws off of Andy Dalton. Now, it backfired a couple of times. None bigger than the dump off on the screen to Joe Mixon. And, oh, by the way, Joe, you got to score on that one, brother. You almost cost your team 7 because – and he didn't do anything wrong. He just got caught from behind by Pierre Desir. You got to score there, buddy. I mean, you got caught at the 1 or the 2. And it came down to a 3rd down, and then you get a false start penalty on Andre Smith that pushes you all the way back to the 7, and you almost don't score there. You almost get a field goal, but luckily enough, on that 3rd and 7, Andy Dalton, 3rd and goal from the 7, Andy Dalton was able to find It's A.J. Green in the back of the end zone for his first catch of the game. Coincidentally enough, turned out to be a touchdown, a big one too, because again, you get that screen, you get all the way down to the 1, you got to find a way to get it in there, and then wasn't in love with the choice of play calling down there. You get down there with the screen down to the 1 and you run it or you pass it 3 times. Don't think I love that. You get to the 1, I'd love to see you turn around and hand it off to one of the numerous backs that you have. And I'd like to think you should be able to get into the end zone from 1 yard out, but that's me. And so in any event, you got in, so it doesn't matter. But Joe Mixon continues to be a guy that I think you have to get the football in his hands more. And much like I've said about Christian McCaffrey out in Carolina, you do understand that he can't catch the football split out as a wide receiver. You do understand this, correct? I just want to make sure we're on the same page because it seems like Carolina doesn't understand that Christian McCaffrey does have the hands of a wide receiver and can run routes just like a receiver, if not better. You do understand that you can motion him out, get him one-on-one with a linebacker or a safety, and win one-on-one matchups with Joe Mixon. You are aware that you can do that, correct? That is not a personal, that's not a foul. It's not a penalty. You're not penalized for that. And, oh, by the way, that is legal. You can do that. So I'd like to see them use him more as a pass receiver, not just out of the backfield as a guy that's catching screens or checkdowns, but a guy that you actually motion out so you can get a number of things from that. If you send him in motion out of the backfield, you'll know right away, okay, what coverage are they playing? Are they playing man or are they playing zone? You'll know right away by what happens with Joe Mixon when he goes into motion. And then, oh, by the way, have him run a legit route and look to throw him the football. He can catch. It's okay. You can do that. So I think he's a guy you got to get more involved. How about Josh Malone? Getting his second action of his rookie season and having a big game. He made a difference in this game. Had a couple of catches, won a huge touchdown. Good to see your 4th-round pick out of Tennessee contributing, man. So it's good to see the young fellas getting involved with this offense. It's going to benefit them because John Ross has been a disappointment up until this point. But again, it's early. He's young. He's dealt with some injuries. They've got to utilize his speed, though. You know, I'm seeing him on comebacks and things of that nature. They've got to scare teams with some go balls. They've got to just say, all right, John, you're in. They might know it's coming. Just run by the guy. Just run by the safety. Run by the corner. And we'll throw it up there and we'll see what happens. Sort of like what the Texans do with Will Fuller, the 5th. You just say, hey, all right, yeah, he's fast. You know he's coming at you. Can you stop him? I'd like to see them just cut John Ross loose one time and let Andy just throw it as far as he can and see what happens. But in any event, I thought that the Colts did a really good job of applying pressure to Andy Dalton, not allowing him to really get comfortable in this game. Andy did a good job of handling the pressure, not doing anything stupid. We've seen Andy do some really foolish things with the football when pressure is applied. He didn't do that in this game, and it was good to see the young fellas Malone and Mixon step up and make some plays for this offense. But the run game has to improve. I thought the run game was really lackluster. Mixon led the team in rushing with 18 yards on 11 carries. That can't happen. You've got to have better balance if you want to succeed against better teams moving forward. This team is not good enough to just say, all right, Andy, go win us the game on 30 passing attempts. That's not what this team does. They have to remain balanced. And they did run the football. They did remain resilient in the run game despite it not working. But they've got to have more success moving forward. But they did just enough to get the job done in this football game, 24-23 over the Indianapolis Colts. You go to the defense because this game was won defensively and on special teams, even though it was almost lost on special teams. Matter of fact, I'd say more so defense. Special teams tried to give this game away. We'll talk about that here in a second. But defensively, there's a lot of talent on this Cincinnati Bengals football team. I've already talked about William Jackson III at least 3 times this season and how good I think this guy's going to be. He had a hell of a knockaway on T.Y. Hilton on a deep ball. He was beat, but it was great recovery and a great knockaway. And I think nothing but high things about William Jackson III right now. I think this guy has the potential to be a lockdown #1 corner in this league. And he's got confidence, and he's not lacking in that department. And I think that's going to help him excel in this league because he thinks he can guard anybody. And right now, it looks the case. You know, he looks the part. So I really love what he brings to the table. I think that Nick Vigil is a really solid player, like what he's doing for you at the linebacker position. And then I like the young guys you got up front, you know, and it's always good when you mix in veterans with the young guys and you get a big punt block from your rookie out of K-State. That was a huge play early in this ball game. And you see some of the pressure you've been able to get with the young guys up front. You did have a foolish penalty on Carl Lawson in this game for roughing the passer that helped the Colts get a field goal right before halftime. But he's the guy that can get to the quarterback as well. So there's a number of guys that I really like that you have defensively that I think can really help you moving forward, and they'll continue to grow in this defense under Paul Gunther. And like I said, the veterans stepped up. Nobody stepped up bigger than Carlos Dunlap on that tip deflection, pick 6 to give you the lead, and that was the game-winning score as well. So that was huge because I don't know if the offense had another touchdown in them. You know, you're down 6 at that point, 23-17. It's getting late. Like Floetry says, it's getting late. Why you want to be here? No, why you want to be here. Not why you got to be here. Why you want to be here? Why you want to be down 6 at home to the Indianapolis Colts with 6 minutes left in the game? Why you want to be there? Don't do that. So Dunlap had to change that, and that was huge because, again, I don't know if your offense had another 6 in them. I don't think they did, to be honest with you. And so to ask Andy to have to drive him down the field and go get 7, you were asking for trouble. Carlos Dunlap said, don't worry about it, we got it. And he took care of it single-handedly, and that was huge. That gave you the lead, and the defense was, from that point on, able to take over and put this game to bed. You would have liked to have seen this offense take the football, put together a nice 4-minute offense drive where you beat up the clock and don't allow the Colts to see it again. But in any event, they got the football once more. The defense had to come out and get that final stop, and they did to preserve the victory. Let's talk about your special teams quickly because they tried to throw this game away. You had 2 fumbles muffed by Alex Erickson. And I'm not going to kill Alex Erickson because I think he's one of the best return men in the game. But he had an off day. Muffed a punt that was fumbled that the Colts recovered and turned into points. He also muffed another one. Luckily, the Bengals were able to get back on top of that one. You had a field goal blocked by the Indianapolis Colts. The special teams was not great. You did offset that block with a punt block of your own, but still, the punt block is different from a field goal block. Field goal block means points instantly taken off the scoreboard. Don't know if he was going to make it, but it was a chip shot field goal you expect your kicker to make. And so that's direct points coming off the board. A punt block doesn't guarantee you anything unless it's a scoop and score situation. So that's frustrating that the special teams wasn't better in this game. But that being said, you were able to overcome the mistakes. And like I said, had you been playing a better team, you probably lose this game. Can't make those types of mistakes and expect to win. But you were able to overcome, and you win this game 24-23 to get to 3-4 on the season. And like I said, just kind of tread water here. Just kind of find a way to hover around 500 until you can make that push and that run to get you to and then above 500 to give yourself a chance later on in the season. You look at the Colts. They're now 2-6 after this loss. And there are many more of these L's to come for them. I thought it was a solid game. It was good to see Jack Doyle, you know, kind of get going because he struggled this season mightily. A lot of drops from him. And he's the best they've got at the tight end position. They're going to need him to step up. And a young quarterback is always looking to his tight end to help him out. And he's going to have to step up for Jacoby Brissett, and he did in this game. So that was refreshing to see. I was so, you know how I feel about Terrell Basham, how I've been crying for Terrell Basham to get on the field. I finally got my wish in this game. He got a sack. I saw him out there a couple of times before the sack, and I was just elated. He's the future for pass rushing for this Colts team. Put him out there, let him run around and see what he can do and see how he can help contribute to this football team. It's good to see him out there doing some good things. This is a Colts team that they had opportunities in this game. You know, you get the fumble by the Bengals on the punt. You got to turn that into 7, not a field goal. You know, I didn't love how you handled the end of the first half. They give you a roughing the passer penalty. You've got a timeout. You complete a pass over the middle to Jack Doyle for about a good 8 to 10 yards. And you're about the 15-yard line or so. And you just let it's about 12 seconds left on the clock, and you let it bleed all the way down to 3 and call a timeout and take a field goal. Why not take a shot at the end zone? I know you got a young quarterback, and he might do something stupid like take a sack. But you got to take the timeout. You got to tell Jacoby, say, hey, Jacoby, come here. Whatever you do, do not take a sack here. If you've got to throw this football out of the back of the end zone, do it. But you do not take a sack. But let's take a shot at the end zone. Why not? You got nothing to lose except points if you don't execute properly. But take a shot at the end zone. No, they settled for a field goal. You got to have a killer instinct. And the Colts lack KI right now. And in those types of situations, they were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And you got to find a way to be aggressive in that spot. You don't know how many more times you're going to get down there. Be aggressive. Take advantage. You know how I feel about Marlon Mack and how he needs more touches. I'm not going to continue to harp on that every single week. He scored another touchdown in this game on a screen and or a dump down. And the guy's just so dynamic. You just got to get him more touches. I love the fact that Frank Gore's still going at a high level. You know, Frank... I'm not telling you to demote Frank or don't start Frank. I don't mind Frank starting the game off. But Marlon Mack needs to have just as many touches, if not more, than Frank Gore when the game's done. That's all I'm saying. There should be a changing of the guard, and it doesn't have to happen overnight, but I'd like to see it happening, systematically over the course of this season, where, you know, Gore goes from, 20 touches to 18 to 16, and as his touches are going down, gradually, I want to see Marlon Mack's touches go up gradually. Mack is having 8 touches and Gore's having 22. Then Gore has 20 and Mack has 10. And then Gore has 18 and Mack has 12 to 14. I want to see it gradually happen. I'm still not seeing him touch it enough. I think he had like 3 or 4 carries and another 2 or 3 catches in this game. He needs to touch it more. He's dynamic. He's the most dynamic guy you got on offense when Eugene shows up. And Eugene showed up in this game. Not T.Y. Hilton, but Eugene Hilton showed up in this game. And that's happening way too often this season as well. There are not enough receivers that Jacoby Brissett can count on for Eugene to ever show up. T.Y. has to show up every week, and Eugene continuously shows up, and that usually means the Colts are going to struggle offensively. And they did, if not for Jack Doyle, they really would have struggled in this game offensively. But they did enough offensively to win this game. The defense, I thought, played well enough for them to win this game. Special teams, outside of the block punt, I thought they played well enough for this team to win this game. The fact of the matter is you're just not good enough. And there's always that one Jacoby Brissett mistake in there somewhere that costs you. And in this game, it was a batted ball into the air, picked off by Dunlap, taken in the end zone for a touchdown, and that proved to be the game-winning score. And it seems like every time you lose a game or a game doesn't go your way, and somewhere in there, there's a mistake made by Brissett. But he's a young quarterback. I'm going to continue to stay with this concept that he's a starting quarterback in this league. If given time, put in the right system, he can start somewhere in this league. Maybe not in Indy, but he can start somewhere for an NFL team, and I think he can flourish. If given an opportunity to learn a system, stay in the same system for a number of years, and continue to grow in an offensive set, I think he could be an NFL quarterback. I'm not moving off of the spot. He's got a strong arm. He's athletic. I think he can handle the NFL playbook. I think Jacoby Brissett can start in this league for someone. And I'm not moving off of that spot. And he's going to make mistakes. He's essentially a rookie. Okay, this is his first year starting really in this league. I don't count last year with New England. They dumbed down the playbook. They basically said, hey, we're not going to put you in positions to throw up all over yourself. He was in there as a stopgap, and he did his job last year with New England. This is the first time he's actually had a chance to start. And he's going to have to start for the remainder of the season. I don't see the Colts activating Andrew Luck at any point this year for what? So he's going to continue to start, and I think he's going to continue to grow as the season progresses. But they just didn't get it done in this game. But I like some of the pieces that the Colts have. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I thought they did a great job of blitzing in this game. I thought they were aggressive. They came after Dalton. It did backfire once with mixing with the screen, but nonetheless, I like the aggressive nature. I much rather err on the side of over-aggression than being too cautious, sitting in zone coverages and getting eaten up. I'd rather be aggressive and have a team gash me that way. At least I know I went down guns a-blazing with no bullets left in my gun, and I felt like the Colts did that for the most part in this football game. Henry Anderson had a really good game. I like some of the stuff you've got, and I think at some point it'll manifest itself into something good. Maybe not under this coaching staff. And just aside, Chuck had another Chuck moment in this game where he thought they won a challenge, which they actually technically did win the challenge, but he thought his team was getting the football and they didn't get it. The faces that he made on that challenge, he goes from, yeah, we won, yeah, and the players jumping up behind him to, what? We're not getting the ball? No, you're not getting the ball. If you would have finished listening to the explanation, you would have understood that your guy that recovered the football, his foot was out of bounds when he touched the ball. It's not your rock. Yeah, it was a fumble. You were right. You won the challenge, but you don't get the rock. Oh. Oh, Chuck. Oh, Chuck. Oh, Chuck. Let's get to some comments. Buffalo pregame says, I really believe that Cincy was going to improve and win their season. I don't know what to make of this team. The problem with Cincinnati is they started out slow at 0-3. They couldn't afford to start out 0-3. They had some winnable games at the beginning of the season that really set them back. And, you know, the whole offensive coordinator situation was a mess. And it cost them. Because they should have beat Houston at home on a Thursday night with a rookie quarterback that was making his first career start. They should have beat Baltimore in week 1 because the Ravens are offensively challenged. But they blew those opportunities. And then, you know, the following week, they had an opportunity to win. And they should have beat Green Bay. In Green Bay, they were up 21-0 or 21-7 in that game in the second half, in the fourth quarter even. Like, you can't blow those types of leads. You can't blow opportunities to beat teams you're supposed to beat and expect to be successful. You know, they dug themselves a hole, and they're in a tough enough division where it's going to be tough for them to dig themselves out because they got Pittsburgh twice. They already lost to them once, and that was in Pittsburgh, and they're probably going to lose to them again in Cincinnati because Pittsburgh does a really good job of going into Cincinnati and winning. So you start slow. I think they have had a ton of injuries. Tyler Eifert can never stay healthy. He's the white version of Jordan Reed. When he's on the field, he's ultra effective and dangerous, but he's always hurt. And they can't get him to stay healthy. John Ross was supposed to come in and help change the dynamicness of this offense, and he's been banged up and has been slow to kind of get with the program. And so they've had some issues. Then it was the whole who's going to start at running back and how many touches does each of these backs get. So they've struggled in a number of different areas. A.J. Green wasn't getting the football enough early in the season. They went through a phase where they were struggling to find themselves offensively. I think they've figured out who they are. Now it's all about execution. Defensively, no Vontaze Burfict for the suspension early on. That hurt them as well. He's the heart and soul of their defense. And I think they're starting to find their stride defensively. And so we'll see if this team's able to put it together in time enough to make a run at the postseason. We'll see. Brandon Sullivan says, stayed up all night to watch these videos, man. Looking forward to your thoughts about the Seahawks. No doubt that one will be coming up a little bit later on. Slip says, can't run the ball with that offensive line. You're probably right. You know, as a Redskins fan, we got an excellent pass blocking offensive line, and to a degree they run block well enough. We just don't have tight ends that run block at all, and so that's what kills us in the run game. So I totally get it. I understand when you don't have the parts necessary to give you an opportunity to run the ball effectively, it sucks. Brandon Sullivan says, I love Basham, such a good all-around player. I just want to see him see the field more in Indy. That's been a problem with their young players, not getting enough opportunities to see the field. I just want to see him out there a little bit more. Vincent Coates says, sigh, shout out to Colts, sad Colts fan again. John Perez says, Andrew Luck is in danger of missing all of next season because of his lingering shoulder issue. Without him, the Colts are in a last place team. They are. absolutely a last place team without Andrew Luck. And he really needs to get to the root of that problem. Like, I don't think they actually know what it is. And they really need to do some serious tests and find out, like, he shouldn't stop having tests done until he figures out the root of the problem and the proper treatment for it, because this is something that should have been taken care of already, and he's still not back. And now that he re-aggravated it, and he hasn't even played in the game, just throwing, he re-aggravated it, something's seriously wrong, and they need to get to the bottom of it. John Perez says, also, is it time for the Colts to move on from Chuck Pagano instead of waiting for the end of the year to fire him? I don't think anything is solved by getting rid of Chuck Pagano in season. This team isn't good enough to compete in the AFC South. They're 2-6. There's nothing to be gained by firing him unless you're going to hire your coach for the future. Unless you think somebody on your staff right now, as constituted, is good enough to be your next head coach and you want to give him a trial run in 2017, then there's no reason to fire Chuck Pagano. All right? None whatsoever. Because the guy that is going to be the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts isn't going to coach this team in this season, then it doesn't make sense. You're not hiring that guy right now. Again, unless you really like someone on this staff and think that that guy, like a Bruce Arians, remember when he had cancer and we had the whole Chuck Strong thing going on, and Bruce Arians stepped in and was the interim head coach and did a magnificent job, and that landed him the Arizona job. Unless you have a guy like that on the coaching staff that you think, hey, this guy's got the pedigree to be the next head coach of this team, there's no reason to get rid of Chuck. There's nothing that you really gain by getting rid of Chuck Pagano. You let him finish out the season, and then you have somebody else come in next year, and you let your GM pick his coach, and you move forward. Silver V says, hard to say which one of these teams have a coach problem versus a QB problem. Shaking my head. I think the Colts do have a coach problem. Their quarterback situation isn't ideal. Obviously, they would much prefer to have Andrew Luck in there, but I think Jacoby Brissett is a young quarterback he's learning, and I don't have a problem with that. You're not a good team, so why not let the young fella learn? With Cincinnati, I don't think Marvin Lewis can win a big game. That being said, I don't think Andy Dalton's the root of your problem either. Is he a great quarterback? No. But he's good enough to get you where you need to go. So, Stephen Kawaya says, what record do you think the Colts will finish the season with? I see them winning another 2 or 3 games max. 4-12 is what I see them ending up as, but I can see them going 5-11. No higher than that. They're going to win at least one more game in the division, possibly 2. And then I think they can sneak somebody outside of the division, like they just almost snuck Cincinnati. They can sneak a team outside of the division at some point this season. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't think they played the Ravens yet, and the Ravens are going to be on their schedule. I could see them getting the Ravens. I don't think they played the Ravens yet, have they? They may have played the Ravens already. They may have played the Ravens. I might be tripping. That might have been one of the games the Ravens have won. I could be wrong. They might not have played the Ravens. In any event, that's a game they can win. So, I could see them finishing 4-12, 5-11. But if you made me pick one or the other, I go with 4-12. That being said, that's going to do it for this breakdown. Colts fall. Had chances, ample opportunities to steal this one on the road, 24-23 at the hands of the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals moved to 3-4 in the season with this win. Colts dropped to 2-6. Both teams on the road next week. Both playing AFC South opponents, coincidentally enough. Cincinnati at Jacksonville, Indy, at Houston. So we'll see how those 2 games shake out for these 2 teams in week number 9. That's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. Plenty more to come. Don't you go anywhere. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. More Lockdown Coverage coming your way. I'll see you in a bit. Like I said before, don't you go anywhere. I'll be right back.